And this is the first ladies match coming up in the 1987 Goldpin Coca Cola Classic. And it's between two local girls from Brisbane, Rose Clarke and Bev Jamieson, as we welcome our commentators. Firstly, Jeanette Baker-Flynn.
How are you, Alan?
I'm well. And Steve Mackey.
Hello, Alan. Well, Bev Jamieson selected to start the match. She's the highest seeded bowler, finishing 8th in our 9-bowler qualifying tournament here at Kedron Bowling Centre. A little bit of a nervous start, Jeanette.
Yes, Bev does tend to start out a little bit nervously the first couple of frames, feels her way in, gets her confidence, and then becomes a little bit more aggressive. But she'd be happy that that was a nice, safe shot on the left-hand side, leaving her 2 pins right in the middle.
Well, she'll probably make a minor adjustment with her feet placement here, and she has. She's taken a couple of steps towards the left to allow for the pin at the back row. Good thinking, Bev Jamieson.
Deep, heavy sigh of relief to go with it.
Well, we're watching Rose Clarke. She's a housewife. She comes from Jamboree Heights. Her highest game, 279. She's from the Clayfield Centre. And she's the winner of the 1987 Green Slopes Masters. She was a member of the state team in 1977, and she's seeded 9th for the tournament.
Well, Rose also a little bit of a nervous start there. She went way right of the head pin, and she's got this cluster of 3 to go for her opening frame spare. And both of them very pleased that that first frame is over.
Showing a very easy coverage there of the 3 pins, the ball touching 2 and causing the chain reaction for the spare.
A tough break for Rose Clarke that time. The ball crossed over the head pin once again, so again not quite at ease with the situation, but unfortunately for Rose, she's left these 2 pins, and Alan, I don't think anyone would get that one. I would hope that she'd just go for the 1 pin, play it safe.
Percentage?
Oh, 1,000,000 to 1 shot, this one. Well, that miss could be costly in a 1-game match. It's always advisable to get at least as many pins as possible of a unconverted split like that.
That would also assist Bev in taking the pressure off.
Now we're watching Bev Jamieson. She's a dressmaker from Browns Plains. Her highest score, 278. She's from the Clayfield Centre. Won the Brisbane Masters in 1982, runner-up in 87. And when she's not on the lane, she'll find her knitting or looking after 2 grandchildren. So she's a busy girl, and she's seeded 8th for the tournament.
Well, another shot there where she's crossed over the head pin. And waiting for a ball to come back. This will give her a little bit of time to contemplate that spare again, and let's see if she makes the same move again. She moved a couple of boards to the left on the approach when she went for this in the first frame, and I think she's done the same again. Well, that's good concentration.
Once again, an easy conversion for Bev on that spare.
I remember Bev played in the 1986 Goldpin Coca Cola Classic, and she went through a game without opening a frame. That was a 195 score, and it was the only game bowled without an open frame that lost a match. She lost by 2 pins to the eventual winner, Jo Ellen Day.
That was a bit more of an aggressive shot, but perhaps a little bit too aggressive there, Steve. We're going through the nose, very high, and leaving the most highly improbable split. There we go, through the nose. The pin's just splitting away and leaving those 2 corner pins left.
Alan, the nickname for these 2 pins is the bedpost. You can see why.
taking one, going for the percentage on the count.
Well, top of the third frame now for Rose Clarke, and a chance for her to atone for her last frame error. If she can get a strike here, she'll probably take the lead.
Going for the light shot on the left-hand side of the head pin, hoping for a bit of mix, but unfortunately this time, again, just a little baby split. The ball coming in there, very light on the left-hand side of the pin. But as you can see, great deflection off of the head pin, and consequently she's left this little baby split here. No luck at all there, Steve.
You're watching the 1987 Goldpin Coca Cola Classic, and at the end of the third frame, it's Bev Jamieson leading Rose Clarke by 10. And Bev Jamieson, Steve, 10 in front.
Yes, and Rose has a little bit of work to do. She's left 2 splits in the last couple of shots. That's a better one. Jeanette, Rose has improved quite a lot in the last year or so. I think she used to bowl a straight ball or backup ball.
Yes, quite different to normal left-handers. She was bowling a very straight ball and just virtually pointing it. Now, since she's had some coaching from Barbara Richmond here in Brisbane, she's getting a little bit more turn on the end. Ooh.
Not enough to get that spare, and Rose Clarke in difficulty. The important thing in match play is that the bowlers play their own game. It's very difficult when you start bowling against an opponent. You have no control over what they're going to do.
Oh.
Down they go.
And the first strike of the women's tournament going to Bev Jamieson. Could be about 20-some pins ahead now in the fourth frame.
Steve, we might explain to our viewers too why they swap lanes.
Well, it's traditional in American-style, English-style 10-pin bowling that you always use a pair of lanes rather than just a single lane. Both players then end up bowling 5 frames across the pair of lanes. It's just a little bit more difficult. Of course, the lanes get oiled. They might look alike. They're all 62 feet, some inches long, but they get oiled each day, and they do have different characteristics. And it's the mark of a top-line bowler if they can work their way through the 2 pairs of lanes.
No problems with that spare for Bev. She's finally starting to smile in this match, Steve. It's the first time we've seen her smile, having converted those 2 good frames there.
Well, she probably knows too that she's 21 pins ahead now of Rose Clarke, who is in a little bit of bother.
That was a better shot. She crossed over, left herself the single 10-pin in the right-hand corner, which for left-handers should be an easy spare.
Yes, a 15.5-pound ball, and still didn't quite do enough damage to get rid of that corner pin. And a big round of applause for Rose Clarke from a good band of admirers up here. And she's a lot happier now. But
Can't beat a bit of an encouragement.
No, that's for sure. Bowling at this level is certainly a confidence game. We have one of the better confidence players sitting next to us.
Sometimes. But that last shot of Rose was a very good shot for that spare.
Well, that
Again,
was
going for the mixing shot.
Yes, that was a good result there, getting 9 out of that.
Jeanette, how much of this game is confidence?
Well, I advocate that 10 pins per game is added onto the score if you come in feeling a little bit confident, as opposed to being over-assertive. If you just feel assured that you can do the job and what your target is going to do the job for you, then that's worth at least 10 pins per game. Lucky break there for Bev. It was a softer shot, a little bit slower, and consequently didn't quite hit the pocket, left to the 2 pins in the right-hand corner.
Yes,
a little bit slower through the nose, and it's breaking up the split to leave the 6-10.
Yeah, she was babying the shot a little bit that time.
That's one problem in these types of games, is that you have a tendency to either attack and go for it, or otherwise you can tend to sort of sit back and just play the shots in a pure safety fashion. Good cover there for Bev with those 2 pins.
Well, she's 20 pins ahead in the 5th frame, but of course then Rose opened the 6th frame, so she's the leader by about 30. That's going to be a difficult job for Rose to come good.
Steve, when you get to the front in this type of situation, are the certain sort of tactics you employ to stay there, or you just keep playing your own game?
Well, I think you should just keep playing your own game. Just go for the strikes always. The moment you start getting defensive in bowling, you're dead. 31 pins the difference now for Bev Jamieson following that strike. That's the 2nd one.
Well, Rose is in a position where she's got nothing to lose. She's 31 pins down. She has to go for broke and start making some good shots.
Well, she's really trying, but she's forcing that swing on the forward swing, Jeanette. She's really not relaxed in that forearm.
Absolutely, Steve. She seems to be gripping it like a vice and taking a lot of the roll off the ball. Consequently, again, the deflection factor off the pins when it hits is creating not so much luck and splitting the pins up.
You're watching the 1987 Goldpin Coca Cola Classic, and at the end of the 7th frame, it's Bev Jamieson leading Rose Clarke by 31. To the 8th frame. Bev Jamieson leading Rose Clarke by a big, big margin, Jeanette, 31.
When you get to the bottom of the 7th, yes, it is a margin. It's, as they say, though, the game's never over until the 10th frame is bowled, so it's not an impossible task for Rose, but I think she seems to be concentrating so hard on what she's done beforehand and kicking herself for making such silly little errors. But pressure has its ways with people.
Yeah, some people rise to the pressure, some people succumb to it. This is the first time that Rose has been in such a hair-raising situation for her, I guess. And Bev's bowled on television on a few occasions. She's been in some of the bigger tournaments around the country. The Australian Open, the South Pacific Classic, she's bowled in all of them. So she's a little bit more experienced. She's gone way outside to the outside line.
She's letting the lane do the work more than anything else, Steve. She's just rolling it on the lane, going over Brooklyn on the left-hand side, mixing him up and getting the double.
What's this Brooklyn and New York caper?
Well, that's adopted from the American bridge, the Brooklyn Bridge, where one side of the bridge you've got the Brooklyn side, the other side you've got the New York. So when the automatic machines came in, they made the same adaptation to the sides of the head pin. And again,
a 42-pin leader now. That's 3 strikes in a row for Bev Jamieson, and she can sit down and contemplate what she might do in the 10th frame. And Rose Clarke really up against it.
By the way, which side is Brooklyn and which side is New York?
well, the left-hand side of the head pin is the Brooklyn side, and the right-hand side of the head pin is the New York side. It doesn't matter if you're left-handed or right-handed. The theory still applies.
Well, Rose Clarke's left herself 3 pins here, and that's curtains for her. She needed to strike out there to put some pressure on Bev Jamieson. She's 42 pins behind, and of course this has done her cause no good whatsoever.
I wonder, Steve, whether it's going through her mind. She changed balls for this TV final. In the seedings tournament yesterday, she was using an ebonite ball, a much harder case ball. Then coming out here on TV, she started using a lighter case, a softer case ball. And now I wonder if she's asking herself if she made the right decision.
Well, she'd take one look at the score sheet and say she shouldn't have changed. She should have left well enough alone. But, well, you learn by your experiences, and this has certainly been one for Rose Clarke.
That's a wild ball for Rose. She's just trying too hard now, trying to make sure she doesn't put it on the nose like the last frame, and going way wide on the right-hand side there. But, of course, you know, this is her debut in TV. You've got the pressure of the tournament, as well as the heat, as well as, of course, the game is orientated around mental attitude. So there's a lot of things betting on one game.
And Rose will be most disappointed with her score of 124, but Bev Jamieson now, well, she can get a big game here. She can shoot 223 if she can go all the way in the 10th frame.
Once again on the Brooklyn side, but this time not successful in getting the strike and going back to her early start in the game and leaving the 2 pins in the centre.
Yes, nice follow through again. That's nice work by Bev Jamieson under pressure. And she could bowl a game of 201 if she can get this spare. And once again making the adjustment. I like that. That's good concentration. She's moved her feet across. But she's missed that one and finishes with a game of 189.
Win 2, Bev Jamieson over Rose Clarke. Well, Rose, what happened out there?
A very nervous bowler.
First time on television?
Yes, but it's an experience for me.
Yeah, you'll be better next time.
Hope so.
Righto, Rose, thanks for playing in the tournament. I've got a cheque there for $175 for you.
Thanks, Alan.
Ease the pain a bit?
Yes.
All right, here's our winner, Bev Jamieson. You've got a bit of experience because you played in this last year.
Yes, I did. Run 5th last year.
Yeah, makes a difference, doesn't it?
It does.
Righto.
Helps a lot.
Okay, you've played well, and you've got your next match coming up against an old friend of yours, Jan Proctor from Sydney.
That's right. We used to be good friends back in the old days.
Won't be too much friendship out on the lane.
No. All enemies when you're on the lanes.
Right, Bev, congratulations. We'll see you later in the championship.
Thanks very much, Alan.
Bev Jamieson, the winner, over Rose Clarke.